Good morning, everyone.
I will call to order the regular board meeting of the Board of Election Commissioners for the City of Chicago. My name is Maricel Hernandez, I'm the chair, and seated to my left is Commissioner William Grassi. Next item on the agenda is the consideration of the agenda. Any proposed changes?
None.
Thank you. If, as a result, we will proceed with the approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting of August 31st, 2021. I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, please state aye. Maricel Hernandez states aye.
Commissioner Cressy votes aye.
Motion passes. Next on the agenda is the Executive Director's Report. Mr. Holliday.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioner Cressy. I participated in the Zoom conference with the State Board of Elections and other election officials of the state to discuss the Public Act 102-15, new cybersecurity requirement. It was a very informative meeting. However, the security requirements that was talked about, our board has already implemented those. We're in line with what the state is asking. And on the Zoom call was our security specialist, Raul Patel. So again, as mentioned, we are up to date with all our cybersecurity measures. I attended the monthly meeting of ISAC where they talked about the different security and virus threats that have been reported throughout the state. The Chicago Board of Elections are free of any of these issues. I met with the building management on securing space in the building for our vote by mail and Central County and vote by mail adjudication for the upcoming election. In November, we had the entire 9th floor. However, that floor has been rented and we're looking for more space so we can house that process.
Okay.
On tomorrow, we'll be attending the executive board meeting of the Association of the Election Commissioners of Illinois, and then on Thursday, we'll be attending the fall conference of the state.
Thank you. Thank you. If there's no questions, we will proceed with the Assistant Executive Director, Ms. Espero.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam Chair. Louder? We don't get louder. Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a brief report ahead of the meeting. We are meeting with our representative from the Dominion Voting Systems to plan for installing upgrades to our voting software ahead of the next election in 2022. I will be traveling to the board's warehouse this week to check in on the progress of our summer projects, as well as plan for upcoming equipment maintenance projects for the fall. We'll also begin e-recycling outdated television sets and other aged equipment that has been stored at the warehouse for years in accordance with the environmental safety standards. Not only will this put the board in a better position for the upcoming move, but I am also hoping to learn how the board can reduce waste in future elections.
Thank you, Mrs. Espero. And now we have a report from our Public Information Director, Mr. Vedder.
Just a few brief updates on our end. I'm going to try to have a very light touch around here. We continue to prepare statements and materials ahead of the city budget hearing, now scheduled for September 28th. We have some messages and media planned ahead of National Voter Registration Day, also on September 28th, to get the word out and also to work with our partners who are celebrating the day and putting it on social media. And I look forward to meeting with staff soon to map out plans for the next canvass and mailing ahead of the 2022 elections.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. If there are no questions, we will proceed with old business, infrastructure projects and changes in election administration and voting equipment. Mr. Holliday, anything?
Nothing, Madam Chair.
Okay, and with respect to electronic poll books?
The same with the electronic vote. The maintenance of things has been done, so we're on schedule.
Mr. Lesker, legislation?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to let you know that last week I did reach out to the Office of State Senator Celino Villanueva. She's the Chief the sponsor of the bill we discussed last meeting, the possibility of non-citizens voting in the school board elections. So waiting to hear back still, but looking forward to making some contact there and then expanding that conversation, I would say, with the election, with the House's election administration and ballot access subcommittee with Representatives Kelly Burke and Kate Stewart. So, move forward in that regard and keep our eyes on things for the depot session, which will begin October 19th.
Okay, October the 19th, okay. So, I think, an additional, maybe continuous reaching out to, Senator Villanueva's, staff,
Yeah,
someone at her staff at least to see who we can contact.
yeah, both with their staff and then also trying to reach out to the committee, subcommittee as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
If there are no further questions, we'll proceed with new business. We have a professional services agreement with Lawrence Hanson LLC for decennial redistricting consulting services. Mr. Lester, Mr. Howard?
Okay, Madam Chair, Mr. Hanson, he was chosen from a list of candidates who applied. I have Christopher here, who went through the process, along with Mike Check and Al Chase, who can give you more detail on the hiring of Mr. Hanson.
Okay. I think you have to get someone near a microphone.
Good morning, everyone. Like Mr. Holliday said, I was part of the interview panel along with Mike Check and Al Chase, and we do believe Mr. Hanson is probably the best and most qualified candidate to help us with this upcoming redistricting. He has eats and breathes GIS redistricting. He knows the ins and outs of it, and he is more than willing to teach Mike and his mapping staff further along their training to take that department to the next level and also implement knowledge that was never taught to that staff previously. He has over 20 years of GIS experience in the public and private sector. He's very knowledgeable in all the GIS formats that we would be needing to complete this upcoming redistricting.
Yes, and Madam Chair, 10 years ago, myself, Christopher, and Mike, we were very active in the redistricting process. So I relied on them, so they knew exactly what we needed.
Great. Well, thank you.
No questions. I just want to thank Charles and everyone who worked on this because, let's say, this is the time, you can't even say this is the time of the year, this is the time of the decade when folks with these qualifications are in such high demand. And I think we landed a really good choice here. His qualifications look impeccable. And I want to thank you all for the work you did to get this. And I'm looking forward to making the motion.
So, right ahead.
Okay, then I do make the motion to approve the professional service agreement with Lawrence Hanson for decennial redistricting consulting services.
And that would be in the amount of $100 per hour, capped at $100,000 over the one-year term.
Took the words out of my mouth. Yes.
Okay. I will second that motion. All those in favor, state aye.
Commissioner Cressy votes aye.
And Commissioner Hernandez votes aye. Motion passes. Next on the agenda is the legal report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Now I do just want to confirm that the State Board of Elections agrees with our analysis and creates what was sort of called an erroneous omission in legislation for next year's elections. And so their legal staff and legislative director are taking on seeking a remedy to the legislature for that.
Can you explain a little bit more about the erroneous?
Of course. There is, in normal years under the normal election code, there's one section of the election code for primaries and a separate but equal section for the general election. that dictates when the candidates file their nomination papers. That section is split into two parts in one paragraph. Now, for the primary, they've copied part of that legislation, and the dates all match up. But for November, they've taken only one of those two portions of the existing legislation and said it's going to change the dates for that filing period. And that would apply to the state candidates, judicial candidates, federal candidates. What they have apparently forgotten to do is also have the county candidates filing at that modified time period. So as things currently sit, there's actually two different filing periods that the statutes call for. One for the state federal judicial candidates, the other a separate period for the county candidates. And we all believe that just must be an oversight and error because there's no reason for it to be that way. It creates so many complications. But that's obviously why we want to get a remedy before the time comes, because it really would create a logistical nightmare for county electoral board cases, and of course just candidates in general having different circulation periods is not fair. There's issues like that.
Thank you.
And then looking forward later this week to attending the annual conference of the Association of Election Commission Officials of Illinois, known as ADCOI. Charles and Audrey Woodley from our Community Services Department have been quite active with the group, and we're talking a lot about some of the same sort of legislative pushes that we're making here in terms of decreasing the size of the numbers of precincts and so forth. We're in the process of pushing for that as well. So that'll be good about it.
But where are they meeting this year?
It is happening virtually this year again, second year in a row. We came close to having them meeting be in person, but we backtracked and went back to the video now. But there's a full agenda. We've got speakers coming from around the state. We'll have some from the state board of elections and other areas, so it'll be very informative. It's always a good one to connect with this.
Thank you.
We have no financial report. Do we have any public comment?
No,
We have no public comment. Is there any for executive session?
Not today.
Okay, well, before we adjourn, I would like to say that pursuant to the provisions of subsection 70 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act, 5 ILCS 120/7E, I declare that the following factors related to the coronavirus pandemic and the ongoing spread of the Delta variant of COVID-19 makes it impractical and imprudent to hold the next board meeting in person. And the September 28, 2021 meeting may therefore be held by video conference. As part of this declaration, I further find that on September 3rd, 2021, Governor Pritzker issued Executive Order number 2021-22, which is the COVID-19 Executive Order number 88, in which he issued a statewide disaster declaration to be in effect for 30 days thereafter. In addition to the statewide COVID-19 statistics and concerns expressed in the governor's declaration, I find that the following local concerns in and around the city of Chicago further require the board to hold its next meeting by video conference. Weekly COVID-19 infections and hospitalizations in Chicago remain very high, with new cases currently averaging 422 per day and new hospitalizations averaging 34 per day. Also, the vast majority of Chicago's intensive care beds are occupied with only 16% of beds available. And lastly, the vast majority of Chicago's hospital beds for patients that need acute care are occupied with only 18% of beds available. To best protect our staff and the people of Chicago, I declare the next board meeting on September 28, 2021 will be held by video conference only, as well as all board meetings for the indefinite future until a new declaration is released. So, yes.
Madam Chair, if I could say something, I know under the law, as chair of this body, you have the unique power to make such a finding, but I'd like to say that I totally agree with this finding. I think looking at the current numbers, and I think for this body, since we meet this time of year every 2 weeks, we have to look ahead. So looking at the trend lines, I think definitely this is a good finding. And what I also like is we're getting pretty good at that video conferencing. I know this meeting and previous meetings, we are open to the public, but we had no in-person members of the public joining us, so all on video conference. We have public comment, and so we're still following the guidelines in the spirit of openness and transparency. So I think this is a wonderful declaration, and I support you.
Thank you so much. And hopefully, soon we will all see each other in person. But until then, as I said, I want to protect everyone, not only those who work at the board, but also, those who regularly come in and observe our meetings. So for everyone involved, I think this is the best. So thank you. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Commissioner Cressy votes aye.
Commissioner Hernandez votes aye. Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned, and we'll see you at the next meeting virtually.